distributed file system. So when we talk about HDFS, there are two three important points. One is block size, another is replication factor. Okay, block size is basically whenever you write data into Hadoop basically divides your files into blocks. Okay, because Hadoop is basically Hadoop runs on a cluster of machines. Hadoop basically has a lot of data nodes and a name node in the system. We'll talk about what exactly is name node and what are data nodes. So, but when Hadoop stores data, it basically divides your file into blocks and then it writes those blocks on different machines in the cluster. Okay, every machine has some amount of RAM, some CPU and some hard disk attached to it, and when Hadoop writes data, it will divide the file into blocks and it will write the blocks on different machines, and it will keep the metadata, the information about the location of these blocks at a central place, okay, which is called name node. So let me actually first write that. So basically Hadoop cluster is made of master and slaves. Okay, so there is a master in the system and then there are a lot of slaves in the system. So let's just say the master is called the name node and then slaves are called data nodes. So let's just take an example that we have one master in the system and then let's say we have three data nodes in the system, right? So data nodes are the nodes where actual blocks of data are stored, right? Name node is the machine where metadata about the blocks is kept, right? So for example, if you have a file of let's say 200 megabyte, okay, 200 megabyte that you want to write in Hadoop, okay, by default the block size in Hadoop is 128 megabytes. Okay, which means it will divide the file into blocks of 128 megabyte each, and then it will write those blocks in the cluster, right? And then replication factor is basically how many copies of the same block you want to keep in the cluster. By default, the replication factor is 3. So this is size of one block. This is number of copies of each block to be kept in the cluster, right? So when we talk about a file of let's say 200 MB, it will be divided into two blocks. Block 1, which will be of 128 megabyte, and block 2, which will be of 72 megabyte, right? The last block obviously would be smaller than 128 megabyte because it's not mandatory that your file would be exact multiple of 128 megabytes in size. So it will start dividing your file into blocks of 128 megabyte and then final block will be less than 128 megabyte, right? Or at max 128 megabyte. So when you write a file of 200 megabyte in Hadoop, it will divide your file into two blocks, block 1 and block 2, right? Block 1 will be of 128 megabyte, block 2 will be of 72 megabyte, and then it will choose some data nodes where it can keep these blocks, right? So let's just say, for example, it will say block 1 will be written on data node 1. In fact, let's take an example of 4 data nodes because our replication factor is 3. In fact, let me take 5 data nodes. So let's say there are 5 data nodes in the system. It will just say, okay, I'll write block 1 on data node 1 and data node 2 and let's say data node 4. So this is also block 1. So it will keep 3 copies of block 1 because my replication factor is 3. Okay, and it will keep this block on 3 data nodes. And now the second block, let's say the first copy of second block is on data node 1. Second copy of block 2 is let's say on data node 3. And third copy of block 2 is let's say on data node 5, right? So now this is how a typical cluster will look like when you write just a file of 200 megabyte in the cluster. In your data nodes, they will store the actual blocks. So this block is of 128 megabyte, this block is of 128 megabyte, this block is of 128 megabyte. They contain the same information, exactly the same bytes, right? Similarly, this block is of 72 megabyte. It is present on data node 1, data node 3 and data node 5. And your name node, which is the master of the system, it will just keep this information with it, that I have, okay, I have one file which is, let's say, test.txt. Okay, that's, let's say, the name of the file. The name node will say, okay, I have test.txt and it has two blocks. Block 1 is present on data node 1, data node 2 and data node 4, right? Similarly, it has block 2 which is present on data node 1, data node 3 and data node 5. Okay, so this is the view of your file system after writing a file of 200 megabyte into HDFS. So your HDFS is basically, your Hadoop cluster is made of name node and a few data nodes, right? Your name node just knows how many data nodes are there in the cluster. It knows the location of every data node. It knows the IP address of every data node. It can talk to every data node. Whenever a client wants to write a file of, let's say, 200 megabyte in this cluster, it will talk to the name node first. The client, let's say client is some external machine, right, which wants to write to this cluster, right? This client wants to write a file to this cluster, right? It will talk to the name node. It will ask the name node, where can I write this file? Name node knows about the capacity of every data node, about the free capacity of every data node, where exactly free space is present. Name node will say, tell the client, okay, these are the data nodes on which you can write your first block, right? And these are the data nodes on which you can write your second block, right? So then client will directly transfer the data to those particular data nodes. So what will happen is, client just knows that it has a file of 200 megabyte which is of two blocks, block 1 and block 2, right? So it got the location of data nodes from the name node. Name node will tell the client that, okay, write your block 1 on data node 1, okay, and write your block 2 also on data node 1. After that, it is the responsibility of data node 1 to transfer block 1 to one other data node, right? And after that, it is the responsibility of that other data node to transfer the same block to one more data node. Eventually, there will be 3 copies of every block in the cluster. Similarly, client will write the block 2 to data node 1, but data node 1 will write block 2 to data node 3, and after that, data node 3 will write the same block to data node 5, right? So what's happening here is, your client is writing the first block, the first copy of the block, to a particular data node, and that data node will replicate the same block to other data node, and then other data node will replicate the same block to one more data node. Now, why we are replicating the block? So first thing is, client is writing the block in parallel, these two blocks in parallel. So these two blocks can be written in parallel. The client can open two threads and start writing both the blocks in parallel to the data node 1. But the replication of the blocks is happening in sequence, which means once block 1 is written completely on data node 1, after that its replication will start, right? After that, data node 1 will transfer the block to data node 2, and data node 2 will transfer the block to data node 4. Similarly, data node 1 will transfer the block 2 to data node 3, and data node 3 will transfer the block to data node 5, which means your writing of the blocks from the client side is happening in parallel, but replication is happening in sequence. Let me actually write that down. So these are actually very important points, guys. Typically, this is a first question in any interview that you would encounter, that how exactly data is written in HDFS. So while writing data, let me just repeat that client will start writing the blocks in parallel to the first data node that it got from the name node, and that data node will start replicating the blocks when the complete block has been written. So when first copy of the block is written to data node 1 will acknowledge to the client that okay, your block has been written, the job is over from your side. Okay, and then the replication keeps happening on the back end. The user will not be even aware of replication. Data node 1 will replicate the block to data node 2, data node 2 will replicate the block to data node 4, right? And then name node will keep this information about the location of the blocks. So basically this is called the metadata, because this is just information about the location of where actual data is present, and these are actual data blocks, right? So for a file of 200 megabyte, you are actually consuming 600 megabytes in the cluster. And why we are wasting space, why we are taking more space just to write a file of 200 megabyte, why we are taking 600 megabytes, that is to handle failure of nodes. Because Hadoop runs on low end machines, all these machines are not server grade machines, these are low end machines, right? Just like your laptops or any desktop grade machines, it is possible that some of these machines might fail, right? And you do not want to lose your data when any of the machines in your cluster fail, right? So if you look at this cluster at this moment, let's say data node 1 somehow fails, let's say power supply went out or the disk crashed, or something happened to data node 1 and it failed, right? If data node 1 fails, is your data safe? Yes, because your data consists of two blocks, block 1 and block 2, and both the blocks are present in your cluster. Block 1 could be read from either data node 2 or data node 4. Block 2 could be read from data node 3 or data node 5, right? You can still complete your file using these two blocks from other data nodes. If data node 2 fails, you still have both the copies of the blocks. If data node 3 fails, you still have your data intact. Any of these nodes fail, you still have both of your blocks present on some other machine, right? Now, similarly, let's say two of your data nodes fail. Let's say data node 1 and data node 2, both of them failed, right? You still have both of your blocks intact. One copy of block 1 and two copies of block 2. You can think of any combination of two nodes that fail, you can still recover your file, right? Which means when you have a replication factor of 3, you can handle failure of two data nodes, right? But if three data nodes fail, you will lose your data. So for example, let's say data node 1, 2 and 4. These three data nodes have failed. You have lost all the copies of block 1, right? Which means now you will lose your data. Now you cannot recover your file. So obviously there is a limit to the number of data nodes that you can handle the failure of, but typically you won't expect lot of data nodes failing at the same time. So what happens is, let's say data node 1 has failed. So when this data node fails, name node will figure out, okay, one of the data nodes has failed. It will check what all blocks were present on data node 1. It will see that okay, block 1 of test.txt and block 2 of test.txt, both of these blocks were present on data node 1, right? And data node 1 has died, which means these two blocks are not fully replicated in the cluster at this moment, right? When this node has failed. So what name node will do is, it will ask either data node 2 or data node 4 to replicate block 1 on one more machine, right? If data node 1 has failed, name node will direct one of these two data nodes to replicate the block 1 to one more node, so that it keeps three copies of block 1 at a given time. Similarly, it will ask one of these data nodes, 3 or 5, to replicate block 2 also to one of other data nodes, right? Which means at any given time it wants to keep the replication factor of 3 intact for all the blocks in the cluster. Does that make sense, guys? Why do we need replication? To handle failure of nodes, right? If you have configured replication factor of 3, that means you can handle failure of 2 nodes. You can configure replication factor of 5, then you can handle failure of 4 nodes, right? So the important takeaways from this concept are: the writing of blocks from the client happens in parallel, right? The replication of blocks within the data nodes happens in sequence. Hadoop can handle failure of n minus 1 data nodes, where n is your replication factor. So let me look at the questions now. Okay, Sayed is saying thanks for well documenting. Thanks, Sayed. Okay, Rajesh is saying how the DN will know where to write the block and when it reached the replication factor. Okay, Rajesh. So it is not the responsibility of data node, it is the responsibility of name node. So name node, as it keeps metadata of every block with it, name node will know where exactly this block should go. Okay, so let me just explain once again. So let's say your name node is master of your system, right? Name node, to begin with, name node knows about what all data nodes are present in the system. Okay, to begin with, it knows there are 5 data nodes in the system, and also let's say name node knows the capacity of every data node. Okay, so let me just write that the capacity of this data node is, let's say, 100 gig, right? Similarly, every data node has capacity of 100 gig, right? So to begin with, name node will know the capacity of every data node. So it knows which data nodes have free space. Okay, to begin with, every data node had free space because there was nothing present in the cluster. After that, when it starts writing, it knows size of every block. So let me also write here. It also knows size of every block, right? So using this information, it can figure out how much space is available on every data node, right? So so when client says I want to write a file of test.txt which is of 200 megabyte in size, name node will tell client, okay, name node will first check which data nodes have free space. It will say, okay, all the data nodes have free space. It will say, okay, you can write on data node 1. Okay, and internally name node will tell data node 1 that this copy of block, the block 1, has to be replicated to data node 2 and data node 4, right? Because name node knows about the complete statistics of the cluster. So I'll just talk about how exactly name node comes to know about these statistics, but for now just assume that name node somehow knows about all the statistics of the cluster, right? It knows what data is being written to the cluster because whoever client is trying to write data to the cluster, it has to first communicate with the name node. It will get the locations of the data nodes where it wants to write, and then it will write the data directly to those data nodes. Okay, Shweta is saying while writing the block 1, DN1 write and ask data node 2 to write, and at that time data node 2 fails, then is data node 1 throw error to client? So Shweta, as I said, when client is writing the data to block data node 1, right, first the block is written completely on data node 1, and then data node 1 will first reply to the client that your block has been written successfully. So nothing is wrong with that. Okay, after that data node 1 will start replicating the block to data node 2, right? So if at that time data node 2 fails while the data node 1 is writing the data to data node 2, if at that time data node 2 fails, then data node 1 will not reply to the client because it has already replied to the client that your data has been written successfully. Then data node 1 will tell the name node, okay, it will tell the name node that replication has failed, and then name node will give a new data node to data node 1 for writing block 1, right? So client gets acknowledged just when first copy of the block is successful. At that moment, client will get acknowledged that your data is successful. right? So so guys, this is the way, any client will write data to the Hadoop. So now, Nitin, I think you had a question like about schema, right? So that when you are writing data, you just care about the size of file, nothing else. What are the contents of the file, whether it's a audio file, a video file, XML file, a text file, it doesn't matter. And what exactly are the contents of the file, it doesn't matter. It'll just look at the size of the file. It'll divide the file into accordingly into number of blocks, and then it'll write those blocks in the cluster. That's it. I hope that's clear, guys. So now that is why we say Hadoop is reliable, because it keeps multiple copies of the data. So now guys, obviously disk is pretty cheap, right? So that is why we use more disk to store less data, but at least our data is safe in that way, right? And actually, replication has another advantage also that we'll talk about when we talk about processing of data. But at a high level, let me just tell you, let's say you want to process your data, right? Let's say you want to process this file. Your file can be processed in parallel now, which means your block 1 can be processed on data node 1, and block 2 can be processed on some other data node, right? So when you are processing this data, you have an option of processing block 1 either on data node 1 or on data node 2 or on data node 4. Let's say your cluster is running a lot of other processes at a given time, right? And let's say due to some reason, data node 1 is completely occupied. Okay, there is no free CPU present on data node 1 at a given point of time, right? Then you have an option of processing this file on data node 2 and 3 as well, right? Because your data is present here. You don't need to move your data to some other machine to process, because when you move your data to some other machine while processing, that is the time when your processing gets slow, because you are transferring your data. But in this case, you don't need to transfer your data. Your data can be processed wherever it is present. So if a big file has, let's say, 1,000 blocks, right, then eventually you can utilize a lot of machines on which these blocks are present, right? Your data can be processed on all of these machines in parallel. So more about this we'll talk about when we talk about MapReduce in partially in tomorrow's session, and fully in day after tomorrow's session. But for now, our target is to understand how exactly Hadoop stores data. And I hope at least this initial part is clear, right? So let me just see. So we understand why Hadoop is reliable, why it is economical. As I said, these are commodity machines, right? These are not server end machines. You don't need high-end machines to actually run Hadoop. You can run commodity hardware, Hadoop on commodity hardware, your desktop grade machines, and still your data is safe. That is why Hadoop is economical, and obviously it is free also. You don't need any licensing costs. That is also the reason behind Hadoop being economical. And then scalable, as I just gave you a hint, that you can process your data in parallel because your data is replicated now, distributed on multiple nodes, so you can process your data in parallel. That is why it is scalable also.